the matrix.
Of course. Well,
Yeah.
we're only at 15-year anniversary of
Yeah.
this particular matrix. Hello, folks. We
Okay.
have just gone live. If you're wherever you are in the world, and we have David Udell here. Is that right? Udell or
Udell. Yep, it's completely phonetic.
And we are going to make him the primary presenter, and he's going to talk about matrix magic for sports performance enhancements. Take it away.
Thank you very much, everyone. And I'm going to assume that people have a basic understanding of the matrix, although even if you don't, I don't want to have to go through the whole thing. Although if you have a question and you want to know more about it, about basic matrix stuff, ask away. But I'm going to take you through a series of little exercises that I do, some metaphorical kinds of things that I do with performers, athletes of all ages. Just to give you a little background, I work with all kinds of athletes, both as a sports psychology guy, as a clinical. I also work with clinical patients. I'm a clinical psychologist by training. I also still coach. I'm coaching high school baseball and do work with individuals, work in small groups. So some of the things that I do are just, I'll just give you some examples. So I'm going to start out with this. As I'm, and Phil and Kevin can answer this unless we have an audience. As I'm talking to you, what's the most important thing you're doing?
Listening.
As I'm speaking.
Be paying attention.
Listening.
Oh,
paying attention.
I'm going back to school. I'd be paying attention to you.
That's right.
Paying attention. And when somebody's talking, what do you use to pay attention?
Your eyes and your ears?
Yeah.
Your eyes and your ears. And now we're present. This isn't athletic. Well, I guess I could say this is my performance. I'm speaking to you. But the most important thing you're doing, if somebody's talking, is listening, and you use your eyes and your ears, which is a very key component to the matrix. You're present. You're in the moment. 5 sensory awareness. I use that, and if you're really paying attention, you really got your eyes and your ears focused, which will allow you to hear very clearly what I'm saying. Now, I use that little beginning when I'm working with individuals or in groups. I will have a group of as many as 50 to 100 high school athletes, and that's one of the first things I do is get their attention. And I point out to them that paying attention is the key. Pay attention is the real currency of elite performance, paying attention to what you do. And so as I'm talking to you in that moment.
If you could present that, that's the real currency of performance.
Yep.
Yep.
Is attention.
Is attention. And what you're doing. So and then I let them know, I say, you've got to be, as much as I may be boring you, there may be things showing up inside of it. You're bored. I'm talking about high school athletes now, or kids.
Talking about me.
No. Or Kevin or Phil, I may be boring them to tears, or our audience today. But as much as I may be boring you, confusing you, that's internal stuff. And if you get caught up in that, you're going to lose your focus, your attention. So you want to be able to live with the boredom I may be providing, or the stress or the confusion. But if you've got to keep your eyes and ears, that will keep you. And if you can do that in here while I'm speaking to you, that will help you on the athletic field, in in any performance you do. And with kids, I'll tell them in the classroom, you're actually practicing a skill. And part of what I teach about the ACT matrix, I consider it acceptance and commitment, the acceptance and commitment training matrix. You're training, you're learning. And so by doing this, you can be sitting in a classroom, you can be, listening to lecture, listening to me. If you're really paying attention, you're training yourself to be paying attention in spite of whatever's showing up inside of you. Is this all making sense?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And I got to tell you, using this, you'll have the high school kids, complete kids I've never met, and they're just staring at you.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I also make the point of, I like to use a lot of phraseology that's used in sports, because I feel athletes, performers can relate to that.
Yes.
In baseball, major league pitchers have an expression that says, aim small, miss small. So the smaller the thing you're looking at, the more focused you're going to be. So when I ask those kids or any athlete to look at me, I'm asking them, look them right between the eyes. Aim small, miss small. The more you're laser focused, the better attention you're paying. And now you're not going to let that inside stuff, the yucky stuff, or even the good stuff, which I'll explain in a little bit, can get in the way. We usually think of yucky stuff as getting in the way. That's typically what we think in the lower left-hand corner of the matrix. But there's other things that can get in the way. Excitement, joy. We can get stuck on that too. So even good feelings, good thoughts can get in the way. So you've got an athletic team that won the big game on Sunday, and they're still joyful and celebrating and hooked on that good feeling, and now they're not practicing as hard, not getting ready for the next game. It's something that Stephen Hayes refers to as emotional clinging. You're clinging to a good feeling.
I'm doing that today because my team won yesterday. I've been clinging to that good feeling all day.
Well, I have been following the Cleveland Browns for over 60 years, so I'm so used to yucky feelings that I've got
my condolences. Yes.
Yes. Actually, I've learned to laugh at them more than cry over them, but that's another story. So here's another little thing that I do with athletes. There's an expression in sports. I'll ask you guys, what's the most important game of the season?
I'm going to go with the next one.
That's what I've heard.
The next one.
Yeah.
If you're playing in a game, then the one you're playing in right now is the most. But if you're between games, the next one.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're in a game right now, we're not gaming, right? So it's the next one, right?
Right. And and then I'll ask them, what's the most important day of the season?
Did you say day?
Day.
Most important day of the season. Today.
Yep.
All the yesterdays are gone.
Back to the present moment.
And if you are dwelling on those past days, it's like past days are like ashes in a fireplace. And if you're dwelling on them, it's like rolling around in ashes. Days of the future, they're not here yet. Okay, so we need to focus on today. So if today's the most important day of your life, the most important day of the season too, what's the most important moment of the season?
I'm going to go with now.
Yep.
right now. And we want to seize on that moment. The way we do it is through our attention. Again, I'm reinforcing the idea of attention.
Yeah. Yep.
Right now. And depending on what you're doing, what senses do you believe are important in athletic performance? What keeps us in the now?
Oh,
We talked about eyes and ears when we're listening, but what other senses are
Well,
we
your
using?
touch, your sense of touch, definitely.
Sense of touch. Sense of touch.
so much of it is in sports. There's that fancy one, proprioception.
Proprioception. Yes, I was getting ready to say that.
Yep.
Although that's kind of an internal, that's kind of a funny, because
it's
our eyes and our ears tell us what's going on in the outside world. But proprioception is telling us what's going on inside. And thank you for giving me that transition.
But in sports, that's a big deal.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. It's the whole ball of wax, right?
It is proprioception. Exactly. So here we go with this. Here's, let me ask you guys this. I liken sports, playing sports performance and a lot of other performances to driving a car.
Yeah.
And when you're driving a car, what do you need to keep your eyes on?
Oh, I know, the rear view mirror. I'm only joking.
You want to notice the rear view mirror.
Now, I'm going to look ahead.
You're going to look ahead. You're going to be watching the road. And what do you watch the road with?
My eyes.
Yeah, hopefully I'm using my eyes.
And what else? What are there other senses that keep us in the outside world at the top of the matrix?
Yeah. Well, there's your proprioception again.
Body motion, correct.
I want to feel my hands on the wheel. I want to feel my foot on the gas pedal or the brake or whatever, right?
Touch. Okay.
Feel.
Touch. Proprioception, exactly. The sense of body motion.
Also, a big part of that is your sense of balance.
Balance, which is internal, by the way.
Yep, that's internal. But I know if you try to drive while you're dizzy.
Oh yeah.
It don't work out so good. Like,
yeah, that'd be like your belly and patting your head and playing the guitar.
Yeah, you're reminding me of a moment where a case of vertigo suddenly struck me while driving a car.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yuck.
I don't want to go there.
No.
But you also want to be using your sense of sound, your hearing, your ears.
Yep.
You want to hear sirens and horns and strange sounds coming from the road, your sense of smell. But there's something else, and you guys mentioned it partially. You mentioned proprioception, which is what's happening inside your body, which is an internal thing. And you mentioned balance. There's other things going on inside of us. So you want to keep your eyes on outside. You want to keep your eyes on the road. But there's something else while you're driving a car that tells us what's going on the inside of us. Or on the inside of the car, I'm sorry. What tells us what's going on the inside of the car?
Well, you got your dashboard, don't you?
The dashboard. And we have a gas gauge that tells us when we need more fuel.
Yep.
We have a speedometer that tells us when we're moving too fast. We have a light that shines bright red if our engine's overheating.
Or if your tire pressure's low, like that happened to me the other day.
Tire pressure's low. Okay. You also have equipped with message boards. You can get messages on that dashboard. Now you want to notice that dashboard, but do you want to be staring at that dashboard? What will happen when you're driving a car and you're staring at the dashboard?
Not good stuff.
Not very good stuff. And so you're going to crash. You're not paying attention to what you're doing anymore.
Yep.
So can you pick up the metaphor behind that? We also have inside of us, we're equipped, each of us, with our mental dashboard.
Yep.
And on that mental dashboard, we have the proprioception, the speedometer, the RPMs that tell us we're rushing a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Our movements aren't correct. We have a red light glowing that tells us we're getting angry or frustrated, and another light that tells us if we're getting anxious. Okay. We also have on there a beautiful digital readout that just floats across our dashboard with all of our thoughts. Isn't that wonderful?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing but ecstatic wonder coming through there.
We have a panic light. So you want to notice all that information, but you want to be staring at it, dwelling on it, trying to make it go away. So as a performer, you do that just like when you're driving, you're going to be crashing. So you want to notice that stuff because that mental dashboard can inform us of what we need to do. It can be very useful if we notice our proprioception dial is speeding up, we need to maybe slow down. That's when a baseball player a pitcher may step off the mound to regain.
Yeah.
Okay. They're noticing, they're very aware, and that mental dashboard can get in the way if we're staring at it, but can it inform us of appropriate responses to it, if this is making any sense.
It is.
I'm with you.
And so there's all kinds of different, by the way, I've just started to use this mental dashboard that I'm having somebody draw up something, but if anybody wants to add to this, because I'm always looking for help in making what I do better. So please let me know if there's anything you can add into this.
As you sell it to your students, they're going to give you all kinds of ideas.
Oh man, right? You wouldn't believe the stuff I've gotten from young kids. But I got to tell you, this mental dashboard thing has really resonated with performers, athletes, as well as clinical clients. Like amazing stuff. Making them much more aware when they're staring at their mental dashboard, getting caught up in it, getting stuck in it. Okay. And even the good stuff, getting overly excited. Good feelings can get in the way. You're really excited and you start to rush. And now you've lost contact with that inside stuff. You're sort of hooked on excitement or joy. Okay. And that can get in the way. So just keeping that in mind. Okay. And by the way, something very important that I've been pointing out, we all the time think of anxiety as a bad thing, and it can feel pretty yucky. But there's a belief that a lot of people think that stress is debilitating. But actually, stress can be enhancing if we respond to it properly. We can use that if we don't get hooked on it. Anxiety can provide extra energy if it's, so it's like you've got a very powerful engine in that car. I used way too many car metaphors, but you got a very powerful engine, okay? But you need to know when to take your foot off the gas pedal. You need to know when to brake it, okay? So, but are there any questions so far? I know I've been babbling on and on here. So maybe there's some questions or something that some people would like to add in. Please have to it.
No, I don't see anything. I think you're doing very well.
Yeah, I'm with you, David. I'm just
Okay.
It's working
Okay.
for me. Let's put it that way. Working for me.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and one of the things, here's something that I teach athletes, and again, I use to like to take some of their phraseology and put it to use. You ever heard the expression, gentlemen, every rep counts?
Yeah.
Yes.
Every rep counts.
Right.
That's like every moment counts. What's the most important rep of the season? The one you're in right now or the one you're getting ready for?
Yep.
So I came up with a little acronym for rep. A good rep, to make every rep count, requires rhythm, the correct rhythm, proprioception, execution, and precision. In order to have good precision, we need proper execution. I'm kind of working backwards now. Precision is the end game. That's the outcome we're seeking. Something that's important to the athlete. In order to get that precision, we need to have the right execution, which your body knows how to do as long as you don't let your head get in the way. And finally, what we really need for proper execution is the proper rhythm, which is informed by what you guys mentioned, proprioception, the sense of body movement. So this has really helped athletes because they realize now, if I don't have that right rhythm, that's going to get in the way of my execution and get in the way of the precision of hitting a baseball. Okay. So now they're recognizing it draws attention to the proprioception of the rushing of the body and all these kinds of things, movements that can get in the way of the execution and ultimately the precision of what you're trying to do. Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
All making sense here?
Yep.
So job one is rhythm.
Rhythm. In terms of when you're actually in the middle of execution, when you're trying to execute a skill, you got to have the right rhythm. For everybody, that's a little bit different. And you'll notice with what's that? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But with rhythm, then you can have your execution and accuracy.
Exactly.
Well, I just mentioned that because that's what you notice when athletes get out of their rhythm.
Yeah.
Everything else falls apart.
Right.
Oh, yeah. And what's really, if you watch, and there's different things, here goes another car metaphor. What you're doing in a particular time requires a different speed, a different rhythm.
Different rhythm. Yeah.
So if you're if you're a hockey player and you're going down the ice on a breakaway, you're going to be going a little faster. Okay.
But there's a rhythm to it.
But there's a rhythm to it, and you need to know what that rhythm. But if you're a baseball pitcher, you know that everything you do before the arm comes forward is slowed down. It's a little bit more paced. If you watch pitchers,
yes,
there's a very slow rhythm to the windup. Hitters, very slow. Everything before the actual swing is slowed down. That's why you'll see them when they get in the batter. The reason I'm using baseball is it's so visible.
Yeah.
Very noticeable. And if you're really paying attention, when a hitter gets in, you'll notice they're doing everything they can to slow themselves down.
Yeah.
There's stress in there.
Oh, yeah.
There's stress. There's adrenaline. There's cortisol going.
Yeah.
But they're controlling the vehicle. Okay.
Yeah.
They're aware of that. They're being informed. They're doing the things that they need to contain that energy to use it to their best advantage. That's why you see hitters doing all these things to maintain rhythm and to get present.
They're little rhythm routines, right?
They're little rhythm routines. They're also doing little things that you'll notice. You'll see them moving their feet up and down as they step into the batter's box. You'll see their hands doing this on the bat for a couple of reasons. One, it keeps them focused. Two, they're not gripping the bat too tight. You get too tight. All this is being informed on that mental dashboard, and they know what they need to be doing. Okay. So they're maintaining a proper rhythm, and they're at their different times. It's sort of like they're getting ready. Here comes another card metaphor. They're getting ready to throw a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. They're getting ready to enter the freeway.
Right.
But before they get on the freeway, they're on the entrance ramp, and you've got to be going slowed. And then once you're on that freeway, you're hitting that gas. So pitchers need to know that they need to keep the right rhythm to get the right execution, to get the right precision in terms of both speed of the ball, to use their body properly, but also to get good accuracy with their throw. So different things at different times require different rhythms, and you need to be aware of that as an athlete. Quarterback needs to drop back in a rhythmic way, be aware of the field. They got their eyes out the windshield, metaphorically speaking. They're looking downfield, but they also need to notice that dashboard, but not be staring at it. And when they're really watching the field, they make better decisions about where they're throwing the ball. All making sense?
Yes.
Okay. Another thing I like to do with athletes, in order to maintain that right rhythm and in order to make best use of what they're doing, maintaining composure is very important, and part of that is breathing. One thing I talk when I talk about rhythm with athletes, I'll let them know, and with anybody else as well, maintaining the right rhythm. If you realize you're going too fast, you need to slow down. But if you slow down one part of yourself, the rest of you will follow. So, and you can use a very powerful thing to do is breathing. Okay.
Yep.
And I do a breathing exercise with them. And actually we can do this right now if you're willing, everybody out there.
Sure.
So what we're going to do is we're going to see how many breaths you take in a minute. Okay. Is anybody out there aware of how many breaths we take in a minute?
Well, resting.
I'm going to say I take enough. I take enough breaths in a minute because I still seem to still keep breathing.
That's a good thing. If you're still breathing, we're gonna try this out. I want everybody to count their breaths.
Yeah.
I'm gonna time you.
Okay.
And I just want everybody to breathe normally the first time through. Just breathe the way you usually do. No changes. We're not doing a mindfulness exercise. You're just breathing. Just do what your body does. I'm going to say on your mark, get set, breathe.
Okay.
When I say on your mark, let all the air out. So when I get to breathe, you can immediately start taking that first breath. A complete breath, by the way, is from the time you begin to take it in to the time it's all the way out. And then you can take your next one. At 15-second intervals, I'm going to say 15, 30, 45, stop. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So everybody ready?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Here we go. On your mark, get set, and breathe. $15. 30. 45. 'And stop. How many breaths did you guys take?
5.
5.
I counted 12.
12.
I've been resting a lot.
Okay. Okay. Now, average breathing is anywhere between 12 and 18 breaths a minute. But optimal breathing, oh, here's somebody who just pointed in 24. Anybody else want to report in? You can put it on the message board.
24. Oh,
Yeah.
I was way slow, but as I said, I'm very, very relaxed.
You're chill today, Kevin.
Chill
Very
today.
chill.
Does anybody know what ideal breathing, what the optimal breathing, how many breaths per minute? Take a guess.
Actually, I really don't know.
Yeah.
What's considered optimal breathing is 5.5 breaths a minute.
Damn, I was close.
You're
You're optimal, Kevin.
I better stay right where I am.
You know, I wouldn't change what you're doing there.
okay, so there you go. Now here's the thing. When we're breathing too fast, here comes another car metaphor. It's like a car that needs its carburetor adjusted. We're not operating efficiently, okay? And it can speed us up, okay? So what we're going to do now is we're going to breathe what's considered to be in an optimal fashion. What we're going to do the same exercise all over again, and we're going to see how much you can pull it down within that 5.5 range. It doesn't have to be 5.5 all the time, but that can help slow us down. You may notice athletes, a basketball player before taking a foul shot takes a deep breath. A lot of times people do these breathing exercises as sort of a little trick they're pulling out of a hat, a mindfulness exercise, which can be useful, but breathing really helps us stay present, and it also keeps us in that optimal rhythm, which is very important for performance. What we're going to do now is we're going to breathe properly. First off, you always want to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. Mouth breathing does very strange things to the internal cavities of the head. I'm not even going to get into all that. It literally changes the soft tissue formation inside your head when you're breathing in and out through your mouth. So you're going to breathe in through the nose, a full diaphragmatic breath, a full belly breath. And then you're going to let it out slower than you took it in, pushing it out through the mouth, slower than you took it in. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So here we go, same directions. I'm going to say on your mark, get set, breathe. When I say on your mark, you're going to take in, you're going to let all the air out. When I get to breathe, you're going to breathe in slowly and deeply through the nose, out even slower through the mouth. Okay? And then count. Again, I'm going to say every 15 seconds, 15 seconds. So let's see how much we can slow this down. And okay, right, here we go. Ready? On your mark, get set, breathe slowly and deeply. 15. $30. 45. And stop. How'd everybody do? Bill, Kevin?
Took about 2.5.
I got 3.
Wow. And what did you notice? Is there anything you noticed in that second second part of the exercise?
Well, I noticed that I was paying careful attention to breathing through my nose,
Yeah,
and out through my mouth.
yeah. I was doing a lot of exquisite noticing of that whole process as well.
Right. Whereas when I did my first one, which was 5, I wasn't paying attention to that.
Okay. So you were really paying much better attention. And
Yeah.
let me ask you this. Did it do anything to what you were experiencing inside of you? You mentioned exquisite noticing.
Uh-huh.
And what was that? How would you describe that experience, that inside world experience?
I'd say it was a pleasant experience.
There you go. Content.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
I felt in rhythm.
Yeah. I felt, synced up, I guess, right?
Synced up. There we go. Synced up. But
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of my clients will say very calm.
Yeah, Dina said felt calmer.
Calmer. Yep. Okay. I didn't quite. Yeah, way more present. And was anybody staring at their digital cognitive output on their dashboard? Did you notice?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was on in and out.
Yeah, that's me. In and out.
Yeah. When we're focused, we're not paying attention to that others. We're paying it. It gets us.
Yeah.
It can help us not
narrow bandwidth as opposed to a wide bandwidth kind of thing, right, David?
Yeah. Well, and you're paying attention to what you're actually doing,
exactly.
Not what's just happens to show up in your dashboard.
Right.
There you go.
Some angry text from your spouse or something,
Uh-huh.
And so, now here's the thing. What I try to teach performers and actually anybody else to do is to learn to slow down, because a lot of people really are rushing through life. You see them running through the mall. You can just tell they're on like fast forward. And if we learn to slow down with anything we do within the right rhythm, okay, we got to have the right rhythm. But breathing isn't something I'm asking to do to pull out like some little magic trick. And using a car metaphor, you try to take a deep breath when you're going 90 miles an hour. You're trying to brake the car, you're going to skid. It's not going to work. But if you're driving the speed limit, if you're into a pattern of regular, it doesn't have to be 5.5, like they say it can be, but if you're breathing properly, you're going to keep it slow. So it's like you're driving the car, you're going the speed limit. So you're going to have much better control of the vehicle, you being the vehicle. And if something sudden happens, you're going to respond to it much more effectively because you're not going to have to jam that brake on. You're going to have better awareness of your surroundings. Okay. You're going to have your eyes on the outside world at the top of the matrix. You're going to be noticing the stuff below the horizontal what I like to call the workability line, the towards and away, the relief and the satisfaction line. Anything below that is what's going on inside, and it's represented by our mental dashboard. And so 24/7 rhythmic breathing is something that I seek, not just it's a little something you're going to pull out of a hat or a little exercise you're doing. And breathing really is about, it's not about getting rid of anxiety, which a lot of people, they can help with that, but it's mostly just to slow down and to be present in ACT and matrix talk. Is this all making sense?
Yes.
Oh, yep.
Okay. By the way, here's a little something interesting. Right now, does anybody notice how I'm talking to you? What are your ears telling you about how I'm talking to you right now? What are you exquisitely noticing with your ears how I'm talking to you right now?
Now you slowed down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before that, I noticed you were speaking English.
You're right. Your rhythm changed.
But then you slowed down.
Right.
My rhythm changed. Did you notice anything about my voice?
Yeah. Timbre.
Prosody.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounded different.
And as I'm talking to you slowly and in variation with my voice prosody, the tone of my voice, what is that doing? What are you folks out there experiencing with that?
Well, we're wondering what you're up to.
That a digital, that he's staring at his digital message.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything you noticed? Okay, you noticed on your digital out is my what does my talking slower do for you, and my variation in voice prosody? Does my talking slowly do anything in terms of your internal state, your emotional state?
Emotional.
Well, it's the whole thing is calm. It's calmer.
Calming. And you're paying better attention. You're very present.
Yeah, with the calming comes more noticing.
So this is a very interesting. I don't know how many people how we interact with each other. People tend to mirror each other.
That is true.
Okay, yeah. We mirror each other. If we're angry and yelling at somebody, they're going to get angry and yelling back. Does anybody know there's a term, a scientific term that captures what we're talking about right now? Does anybody know what that is? I'll put it on the message board.
Oh boy.
Ooh, cool.
Oops, I misspelled it.
Yeah.
Here we go. It's called co-regulation.
Wow.
Okay, it's called co-regulation. Very important when you're talking to your kids, athletes, spouse, to maintain, because you're maintaining composure. How many of you have, how does a pilot talk to passengers when the plane is experiencing turbulence?
Yeah. They talk in a calm, cool, collected voice.
Yeah. And
yes,
I go, boy, he sounds calm. I'm liking the fact that he sounds calm.
And do you know what they call that? They actually have a term for that.
No, I didn't know that. In
the military and in commercial flights, they call that the Jaeger voice.
Oh.
Because Chuck Yeager, who was, of
Yeager?
course, a very famous test pilot, and
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
he was a commander of a military unit during, I think, the Korean War, maybe World War II as well. He was always known to be very calm and composed in combat situations. And his voice, this is very important when you're to maintain composure. I had an NFL coach say to me, I asked him once, I was interviewing him. It wasn't part of my, he wasn't a client. I was, when I was, it was an interview I was doing. I write for Psychology Today magazine. I was focusing on the relationship the coaches have with their athletes. And this was an NFL coach who coached in the NFL for 22 years, went to 3 Super Bowls. And I said one day, I said, if you ever get into a bad altercation with an athlete, you yelled at him, what do you do to repair the relationship? And he said, I don't have to do that. And I go, well, why not? He says, I've never yelled at my athletes. I said, really?
Mm.
And I said, explain how. He says, what are you trying to do? What's your job as a coach? Are you trying to improve the athlete or just trying to let everyone know how mad you are? And this is a guy, his name is Sherman Smith, coach for the Seattle Seahawks, also played in the NFL, also was a friend in college. This is going back a ways. It's the same, principle. It's, I don't know if he knows the term co-regulation of the Jaeger, but when we stay calm, we're going to keep everybody else calm. So, and you're going to help them stay composed. So co-regulation can help athletes stay calm and composed. Then they've got to learn self-regulation. Now, I mentioned that mental dashboard can inform us of what to do. It doesn't necessarily, even though it can get pretty yucky, that lower left-hand stuff that we can. I want to share what an NFL punter told me once. Again,
Whoa.
This was when I was, this was not a client. I was a sports writer one time who was covering the NFL. And here's what a NFL punter once said. We were talking about the mental game. And by the way, you get with pro athletes, they love talking about the mental game.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got to a point of talking about, handling. He was in the middle of training camp. He was in competition with another punter with the Cleveland Browns. And of course, when you're a punter, you're either going to make the team or you're not. There's no, you're competing with one other person.
They don't have any third string punters.
No.
No, they don't even have any second string punters.
No. They just go out and get another one if they need them.
Yeah. Right? So we were talking about what was, and then he said, she said, do you know what it's like playing in the Super Bowl? To which I replied, not really. I've never played in the NFL. I would know. He laughed.
I'd say no to that, right?
And he said, well, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
I go, really? Now we're talking lower left-hand stuff.
Yeah.
And then I said, of the Matrix, and I said, wow. I said, well, what's that all about? He says, you've got 80,000 people screaming and staring at you. You've got cameras pointed at you. You've got 200 million people watching you on television. And he said, and he says, the thoughts, if I screw this up, I could become history in a very bad way. I could cost my team a Super Bowl.
Yep.
He says, you're terrified. He says, it's terrifying. I said, wow. I said, well, did that affect your performance? He said, no, not at all. I said, wow. I said, well, how'd you do that? He said, well, you're standing there waiting for the snap and you're frozen with fright. It's exactly what he said, frozen with fright. He said, but I focused on two things: breathe and catch the ball. In other words, he was experiencing that inside stuff. It was there. It was pretty yucky. But he wasn't focused on that. He wasn't hooked on it. He was there. He was noticing it, but it informed him of what he needed to do. Breathe, get in the right rhythm, stare at that ball and catch it. That next one committed action in the upper right-hand corner that allowed him to execute with precision. And this is a guy that's played in 3 Super Bowls, so I'm pretty sure he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And he's never had a bad kick. So there's an example of, your inner dashboard informing your mental dashboard informing you, and then executing and not letting it get in the way.
And what he set off is a sequence of breathe and focusing on catching the ball.
Yep.
Breathe, catch the ball.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Once he gets that 1, 2 down, the rest of it will take care of itself.
Yeah. And he said your body just kicks into action.
Yeah, right.
That's all your reps, right?
Because he spent hours and years doing deliberate practice of punting.
Yep. That's right. That's right.
Yep.
Yeah, I just wrote an article about deliberate practice. Interesting. You should say that.
Man, there's no replacement for it, really.
Nope. Got to put the reps in.
Unless you just have to come out of your mother's womb knowing how to shoot a free throw.
Yeah, or punt a football 60 yards.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Right.
I just posted on the message center my regular feature that I do for sports for Psychology Day. It's called Sports Between the Ears, and so you can anybody's interested.
Cool. Yeah, I've seen it. Yep.
Okay, great. I've written a bunch of stuff. I've actually had some about the ACT matrix in there, and ACT in general, and other aspects, deliberate practice. But anyway, going off on a tangent. Hey, we're down to. I've got to run here in about 7-8 minutes.
This would be great.
Got it. But are there any questions, comments, anything from the audience, from Kevin, from Phil, and anything that might help what I'm doing, to any little things you might notice?
Well,
I think it's wonderful. Yeah.
Well, I like it. Like what we come to, like you can look at all this stuff. You can look at it, the matrix and all of that. But then you go out in sports and you practice a whole lot. And then after you practice a whole lot, that can all get messed up by you getting out of rhythm.
Yeah.
So then the question becomes, well, how do I get back into rhythm?
Yep.
And somebody hands you a book on meditation and says, well, read this. No, that's not going to help. No. What do you need to do? Well, breathe and do precisely what you need to do next. What's the next step? So that was that. Breathe and catch the ball.
And slow down. It's not just breathing.
Yeah.
If you slow down your talking,
calm
your
down.
movement. If you watch what athletes do, a basketball player before executing a foul shot, their movement is slowed down, their breathing slowed down. If you slow down one part of yourself, the rest of you will follow.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, very cool.
Yeah.
So the matrix becomes, the lower part of it is your mental dashboard.
Exactly. And the good part too, the important stuff too. I should have emphasized.
In there. It's all part of your mental.
It's all in there, right?
Yeah.
I've played, but you talk about, you get hooked on good feelings. Sometimes there's a tennis thing behind me. I played a lot of tennis, and I think all of us tennis players have had it, where you just want a really great point, and you get so damn focused on that really great point, you just totally botch the next one. Why? Because you were reveling in the great point beforehand.
Yeah. Yeah.
So those kind of feelings can get in the way just as well as being afraid of something. Oh, here we got Dina.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Soccer championship yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a bummer. And then so much of sports though is about that thing. They're metaphors for life, of course. Because you suffer a great loss. We all do. Yeah. And then you pick yourself up and dust yourself off. And now what do I need to do?
Yeah.
And I guess David is telling us, well, it's good to start off by slowing down and breathing.
Slow down, breathe, and put your attention to, get your eyes off that dashboard and into the windshield.
Yep.
What do I need?
You're not going to get to the next game looking at the last game.
Exactly. It's going to, and you know what? Here's another little thing for you. You're not going to forget that loss in the soccer championship.
Nope.
Probably going to stick with them. Unfortunately, our mind is not equipped with a delete button.
Yep.
No.
And there's no on and off switch. So you have to learn to live. That's another thing. You got to learn to live with this stuff in a way where maybe you can make use of it. That dashboard informs us. It can be very useful as long as we're not staring at it.
Right.
Yeah.
I used to work with a lot of PTSD people, and you heard me say it when you mentioned what do you look at. And the saying was, well, you really can't go through life very well focused on your rear view mirror. Which is, of course, that's the post-traumatic stress disorder. You're looking at the past all the time. Right.
Yeah.
And you can't move forward that way. You're going to run into all kinds of brick walls doing that.
Yep.
Yeah. You've got to, and it's not just using your senses. You need to be using your eyes when you're driving, but you need to be looking at the right thing. Yes, you're going to notice you better notice what's in the rear view mirror.
Yeah, sure.
You also don't want to be staring at that beautiful deer standing at the side of the road.
No.
No, don't do that.
Yeah.
It's all about what I took away from what you said, and I hadn't really put it together so much, is that the sport in regards to sports. And Phil will know this too, because he's a disc golfer. Rhythm.
Yeah.
It's the rhythm. That's what you lose first, is your rhythm.
Yep. Well, it's the same with I practice Aikido too, David. So it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Your attacker is coming at you, and you're in your stance, and you do the technique, and it doesn't work out the way you want to. But then you just got to get ready for the next attack.
and thank you for reminding me of something. I tell athletes, whether things are going well or not well, your RPM thing is going to go up. You're going to get amped up.
Yeah.
Whether it's going well or not. And you've got to be aware of that so you can slow it down.
Yeah.
So your rhythm can get disrupted if you're frustrated, angry, excited, joyful.
Yeah.
You're going to get amped up.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I'm going to go practice my rhythm.
Yeah. Me too.
Go practice your rhythm. And unfortunately, I've got to go right now.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, David. It was great.
Really great.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm gonna add my email address in case somebody.
Do that.
In case anybody has any
down
questions.
There, and then people that come back and watch it. There you go.
Right. They can
check out Sports Between the Ears too, right?
Yeah, and he sports between the ears, and he does all kinds of cool stuff with sports. And Bill and I love sports.
Absolutely.
Well, there you go. And I've just I've coached and been a camp counselor too. You guys ever watch American Ninja Warrior?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I have.
The host, Matt Eisman. I was his baseball coach in Colorado.
Really? Oh, wow.
Awesome.
I That's cool.
And you ever hear of a band called Widespread Panic?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I have
John
several of their
Bell's?
CDs.
John Bell, their frontman.
Oh yeah.
I was his camp counselor when he was in the fifth grade.
Oh
That's-
my
We're
God.
still I'm still in touch with all these people, which is really fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Oh cool.
Well, we'll
Yeah,
have you
so
back on again, and we'll talk
Absolutely.
more. Probably we should do an episode just for Phil and I or anybody else on
Yeah.
deliberate practice. That's
I
a good
think
thing.
that's probably not in the rearview mirror, but it's up ahead.
In the future.
absolutely, and that deliberate practice has been misinterpreted. It's that 10,000 hour rule.
Oh,
has been
yeah,
really.
Yeah, right.
And I want to go through the intricacy. If you want to have me back, I don't know if you want me to
Yeah,
do that.
that'd be
But
great. Sure.
Well,
yeah.
Well, we'll do it
Yeah.
more than once because it's sort of important.
It requires
Right.
repeating.
Repeating. Lots of practice.
Yeah.
Bye-bye,
Yep.
everybody.
Thank
y'all.
you. Thanks,
Can't
everybody.
make it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.